Alright, what's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled, Can God Trust You with a Blessing? And kind of inspired by Deion Sanders because I saw an Instagram post that one of my family members put up. Excuse me, it's been a long day. About asking, can God trust you with a blessing? He said, if you're an alcoholic, you're gonna get money, you'll be a drunk. Everybody want to get the bag. That's what he was talking about. But can God trust you with the bag? And I don't necessarily look at it as money as a blessing per se, but I got the point, because everybody looks at money as a blessing, and I look at a blessing or favor in a similar way. So I get it. I definitely get it. Because money will only enhance who you are, whether it's positive or negative. But as far as a blessing or favor, right, for you religious or spiritual people, the question is never really asked, can God trust you? And some of y'all want to say y'all could be trusted just because you want stuff. But I'm a firm believer, if God can't trust you with the small things, he'll never trust you. He can't trust you with the big things. And I think, some people, I think we all have moments of favor in life. And I think some people make the best of it, and some people blow it. But I don't think it's like, for most of us, I don't think it's like a one-shot deal. I think it happens multiple times. The more you sabotage it or screw it up, the harder it might not come around for a while. So that's the question: can God trust you with favor? And sometimes, that blessing that you think is a blessing is really the test to see if you're gonna get the actual blessing. And just stick with me when I say what I'm saying, because you can have favor, right? People feel like they don't deserve the things that they've gotten. They've gotten way much more than they ever thought they would, without thinking about maybe you got more, abundantly more, because your job is to use your more to bless the person who's going to be the blessing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about the civil rights movement. This is what I mean. The civil rights leaders had a unique bond with the entertainers. So you got to think about that. Like, those were the people, the entertainers were the money people, and they used their favor and in the finance to make sure that we had civil rights leaders that were able to go places and do things and fight on our behalf. And that goes for all the people who did the grassroots work and crowdfunded before people knew what crowdfunded was, right? To come together and make sure these people were doing good things. So in essence, they took their favor and bestowed it on somebody else for the greater good, and made the best of a blessing or favor. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you got to ask, can God trust you with the blessing? Because a lot of us don't take into consideration that we're still being, the favor isn't working to us, it's working through us. Okay? And until you get to that point where you realize favor is working through you, you're only going to do things from a selfish point of view. And that's going to be a problem. Major problem. You know, some people don't realize, you know, like I've seen people get what they feel like is favor or a blessing. And it was the tip of the ice, and it was a testing ground because they ruined their actual gift or dream or ambition or the favor that could come with it, with how much of a jerk they were with their favor. So you can get a blessing and burn all your bridges and like I said before, sabotage everything. Because that can also be a test. You know, your vices. Can God trust you with a blessing? Because like Deion Sanders was saying, your vices increase. If you're alcoholic, you're going to be a drunk. You know, if you're into recreational drugs, you're going to be a pothead or a cokehead for real. You know, if you're a gambler, you might wind up being a high roller who might be in quick debt. Because, you know, and I'm using negative terms, you know what I'm saying? If you hypersexual, then you're just going to turn into a straight super freak. You want certain things and then you lose your peace of mind to get the things you want. And it wasn't really worth it. But people seem to forget that, right? They really seem to forget that. Can God trust you with blessing or favor in the aspect of, are you gonna rub people's noses in your favor or blessing? Like, are you gonna be a beacon of light, or you just gonna stun on people? You know, this is what happened for me. Yay! I was kind of on my coworkers about this. I said, you know, act like them church folks that got something, and instead of saying that you can get it too, they just go, won't he do it? He did it for me. Won't he do it? That's their way of saying I got it and you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's horrible. Horrible. But it lets people know that they can't trust you with the blessing, right? Can God trust you to, and this might be a little bit controversial. I doubt it, though. I just started thinking about it. Maybe God can't trust you with a blessing because you're so selfish you won't pass it down. See, sometimes you're blessed in a way that makes sure you have enough to pass down the favor to the next generation, or to pass the torch, and you won't. You know, you won't. It's not that you can't, it's that you won't. So you can't be trusted with a blessing because you can't be trusted to actually share it, even with your own flesh and blood. You're just going to hoard everything for your own self and self-interest and selfish interest, and basically go to your grave with it. You know? So the question is, can God trust you with a blessing? Because you've seen numerous people who could have done things, but they didn't. And everything, and sometimes that's how empires crumble in death. Is because, you know, people couldn't be trusted with the blessing. So they had nobody to give. They didn't give it to the right person. They didn't want to give it up, or they knowingly gave it to the wrong person, and they just burned it to the ground, basically. You know, so God may not be able to trust you with a blessing because you can't delegate how to pass it on. You know, just saying. Um, and the question about this is, can God trust you with a blessing? Also, is can you be trusted with the humility of getting it? You know, sometimes people feel like favor makes them better than a person, and that sucks because you can't be trusted to be blessed without letting letting other people know that you're blessed and they're not. You know, and that's cold blooded, man. That's like real cold blooded because you think people are praying for your downfall, and some people are praying for your downfall. Say that back. But there's a time where people are praying for you to get a reality check too, because you ain't the only person that is or can be blessed. So, you know, question comes to, can God trust you with a blessing? So be blessed, right? So I'm out of here, man. We done. Bye.